Well, hello, EVD peeps. I have something really fun to talk about today. We now have smothAnimate talking. Watch this. Wait, can I do it? Here we go. Yeah, there he goes. Now watch this. He's talking, but I could actually say, well, maybe he's not talking so much right now and not quite grinding his teeth or wobbling quite so much, but he most definitely has his little tentacle wobbling. And then we'll just play that. It's going to go through and render all the frames nice and slow, and then it'll play it back the normal speed. And this is the new smothAnimate. We've got him all rigged up and ready to rock. And if you want to make a smothAnimate animation, it's actually going to be really darn simple. First thing that you do is you hop over to the MKM Characters 01 AEP document, and obviously there may be more versions of this in the future. We can iterate on it, we can add to it, we can change it, whatever. But here's just a first example of what we can do with characters. I have two null objects in here that you care about. The rest of this stuff in here you don't care about. So in fact, I'm actually just going to go ahead and set these guys as shy, and then hide the shy layers. So all you can really get here is this head null object and the tentacle null object. Now the tentacle null object, actually, if I were to hit P for position, I can see it's got an X and a Y position. I can actually drag this around, as you see, and I can animate that tentacle any way that I want to by setting keyframes on the X and Y position. Now if we look at the Y position here, you'll see that it is red. If I select it and hit, let's see, I believe it is Alt-Shift-Equals on the keyboard. Nope, not that. Sorry. Take a step back there. It is red. If I just hit this little caret here, we will see that it has an expression applied to it. Sorry, I forgot the keyboard shortcuts. So what this expression is it says that we're going to take this value, the red one, and then we're going to add a sine wave. And this sine wave, the amplitude of the sine wave is controlled by this little slider up here called wiggle. So if we make the wiggle bigger, then over time you're going to see that this thing goes up and down really big. And if you make the wiggles really small, it's still going to go up and down, just not quite as much, right? And if we go all the way to 0, then there will be no wiggle at all. And so that's the basic premise here. What we can do is animate this guy. We can animate both the position here to get the overall location. So say he's raising his hand way on up, we could animate that so it's way on up there, and then give it wiggle. And it's still going to wiggle up and down just from up there, right? Relative to its location. All right, so we can animate the position X, the position Y of the tentacle, and we can also animate the slider itself. So if I were to add a keyframe to this, for example, and then grab my tentacle and hit U, then U shows all the animated channels. You would see that the wiggle slider channel is right here with its little clock next to it and a keyframe. And I could move around keyframes, and I could say that I want it to wiggle 0 at the beginning of the animation, and then in the middle I want it to wiggle a whole bunch. Let's say we want it to wiggle 100 and 2. And then back here we'll go back to wiggling 0. Let's just set that to 0. And then you'll see that we wiggle a lot and then go back to wiggling very little. And if we were to play that using RAM preview, it's going to go through and render it, and then there we go. So you can see our wiggle is kind of attenuating. It's doing a lot of wiggle in the middle and not so much wiggle on the ends. And that is the basic idea, friends. That's all we have to do. So if you want to animate this guy, that's how you do the tentacle. If you want to animate the head going up and down, it has 3 different controls. It has tuck, grind, and wobble. Grind makes his head go side to side, just like so, right? And wobble is going to make his head rotate a whole bunch from side to side over time, right? And then there's talk, which makes his head go up and down. That's the one you're going to use the most. So I just give him a little bit of grind, a little bit of wobble, just to give it some, just mix it up a little bit so he's not just going straight up and down. And then the talk is what's going to make him talk during a segment. And as he's talking, you get the idea. So if we wanted to animate him talking at different parts of a show, then what you would do is you would just grab the talk slider here, make sure you animate it, select the channel in the layers, hit U so we can see all those animated channels. Here's the slider property, and we can go ahead and animate how much he's talking. So we could go back here at the beginning, say that he's talking 0. Come over here, we'll say that he's talking 100. And then back to here, he'll be talking 0 again. And then we could play it. No talk, no talk, no talk, lots of talk, and then no talk. And there it is. So, very, very fun. This is going to be a blast. I can't wait to see what you do with this. And let's, you know, you got to think too, like, once you've got this, then we can always later on, all you have to do is nest this comp inside another comp, and all of a sudden you can have him walk into the scene, you know, and do something and walk back out of the scene. Who knows what it'll do. And we can have other characters in here as well. We can have different comps with different characters to be able to animate them really easily. And the idea is not that, by the way, stylistically, a little note on style here. When he's talking, I don't want him to be like, for his mouth to try and mimic this, you know, the sounds that are coming out of it, right? That's not the goal here. The goal here is for him to just move his mouth when he's talking and then not move it when he's not talking. But, you know, it's not supposed to line up in any kind of accurate way. So just have fun with it. Keep it loose. And this should be really fun. All right. See ya.